Men are often expected to be decisive, proactive, and relentless in pursuing their goals. Yet, despite these societal expectations, many men hesitate, procrastinate, or outright refuse to take action, whether in their careers, relationships, health, or personal development. Why is this the case? Why do so many men fail to take the necessary steps to improve their lives, even when they know what needs to be done? The answer lies in a combination of psychological, societal, and biological factors that create resistance to action. Understanding these barriers can help men break through them and finally do it, whatever it may be. From a young age, men are conditioned to chase pleasure. The culture of porn, hookup apps, and hypersexualized media teaches boys to equate manhood with sexual conquests. The dopamine cycle becomes a trap. Ejaculation becomes not just a release, but a drug, a form of escape, a way to feel powerful when life feels powerless. Semen retention demands the opposite. It demands withdrawal from that drug. It demands that a man faces cravings and not act on them. For many, this is terrifying. It is easier to numb than to grow. It is easier to feel 5 seconds of fake power than to build real power over 5 years. So they choose the easy way. Again and again. Semen retention is a form of extreme discipline. It requires daily commitment. It requires managing thoughts, emotions, and impulses. In a world where most men struggle to be consistent with diet, fitness, or sleep, how can they be consistent with something even more demanding? Discipline is not taught in schools. It's not modeled in entertainment. It's not glorified in society. So men grow up weak in willpower, and semen retention becomes an impossible mountain, not because the path isn't real, but because their legs have never been trained to climb. Semen retention is often ridiculed. People call it pseudoscience. They say it's extreme. They reduce it to superstition. The idea that semen has power is laughed at, even though ancient civilizations and spiritual traditions have always honored it as sacred. Men fear rejection. They fear being laughed at. They fear being the odd one out. So they hide their interest, deny their curiosity, and conform. They sacrifice their potential for the comfort of approval. They want to be accepted more than they want to be powerful. For many men, sexuality is their main source of self-esteem. How many women they've had, how often they perform, how long they last. Their identity is rooted in their ability to ejaculate, to satisfy, to prove they are men. Semen retention threatens that. It says, true masculinity is not how much you release, but how much you retain. It says your power is not in performance, but in presence. For a man whose ego is wrapped around external validation, this is a death sentence. Most would rather protect the illusion than confront the truth. Retention amplifies energy. It brings things to the surface. Traumas, desires, dreams, pain, unprocessed emotions. Most men are not ready for that clarity. They don't want to face the reality of their lives. They use sex, masturbation, and ejaculation as distractions. Stillness is confronting. When the fog clears, you see your own mediocrity. You feel the weight of your unfulfilled purpose. You face your inner demons. And without a guide or inner strength, that can be overwhelming. Retention brings power, but power also brings pressure. Most men don't know what they are carrying. They don't know that their semen contains life force, that it is not just a physical substance but spiritual currency, that it holds potential, memory, and creative energy. If a man knew that his seed could build empires, unlock intuition, sharpen his mind, and elevate his spirit, would he still waste it? Would he still trade it for a few minutes of relief? But they don't know. No one told them. Or if they did, they laughed. So they treat gold like garbage. They spill diamonds in the dirt. They sacrifice their throne for a moment of moaning. There is a force in this world that feeds on lust, that wants men weak, distracted, and confused. It wants them slaves to their desires. Because a man who is mastered by lust can never lead, can never build, can never focus. He is divided, addicted, and blind. Semen retention severs that cord. It rebukes that force. It says, you cannot feed on me. But to do so is to step into spiritual warfare. And most men have never been taught how to fight spiritually. So they give in, not because they want to, but because they don't know how to say no. You cannot retain semen without purpose, without a vision, without something bigger than lust. A man with no mission will return to the cave of comfort, but a man with fire in his bones can endure anything. Most men live passively. They are not building anything. They are not chasing God, greatness, or generational transformation, so they have no reason to retain. Their seed has nowhere to go. Their energy has no channel, and so it spills. Every time. Retention must serve something. It must be anchored to a higher reason. Without that, it becomes unbearable. Many men have tried semen retention and failed. Day 1, day 3, maybe they even made it to day 21. Then they relapsed. Then they felt ashamed. Then they told themselves it's impossible. Failure becomes evidence for quitting. They stop trusting themselves. They say, I can't do it. And they believe that lie. They don't realize that relapse is not the end. It is a part of the training. That even warriors fall, but warriors rise again. The pain of failure stops them, not knowing that pain is the doorway to power. The real reason most men won't do semen retention? Because it demands rebirth. You cannot hold that energy and stay the same. You must become sharper, clearer, stronger, more disciplined, more focused, more divine. You must kill the boy to become the man. Most are not ready for that funeral. They still love their old self too much. Semen retention is not about just stopping an act. It's about transformation. It's about stepping into kingship. And most men fear that weight. They say they want greatness, but they aren't willing to pay the price. There is, however, a remnant, a small group of men who say yes, who rise in silence, who train in private, who carry their energy like a sword. They do not boast. They do not shout. They simply grow. These are the men who will lead, who will love deeply, who will create lasting legacies, who will move with presence, power, and purpose. These are the men the world has been waiting for. And any man can join them, but the door is narrow, the price is high, and the reward is everything. Semen retention is not for the many. It is for the few. It is not the path of convenience, but the path of greatness. Most men won't do it because they fear themselves more than they fear failure. They want the reward without the work. They want the power without the process. But for the man who dares, for the man who chooses discipline over dopamine, vision over vanity, and purpose over pleasure, he will become unstoppable, not because of what he retains, but because of who he becomes in the process. Most men won't do it, but you still can. Join the Retain to Thrive Telegram channel at the link below, where we focus on building discipline, overcoming distractions, and achieving goals. Join the supportive community sharing tips, motivation, and accountability. Let's grow together, one step at a time. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and share this video.